Nevada, the great silver state and the gold. New tales of Nevada, the stories, people working hard to make a home. Old tales of Nevada.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Boy, we have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about one of the legendary names in Nevada sports. So stay tuned. We'll have the whole story for you right after this.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang Series, which depicts the Wild Mustangs herd running free, mare and its foal, the Wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle, we're the biker's bike shop.
Welcome, everybody, to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show. And next to me and my good buddy, our executive producer, Hugh Roy Marshall. Hugh Roy, good to see you again this week.
You too, you betcha.
And we have a special guest today,
I know it, yeah.
as usual, Danny Tarkanian. And people might recognize that name because of the great history down there in the University of Las Vegas, Nevada. And welcome, Danny, to the show.
Yeah, you betcha. Welcome to the show,
Thank you.
Danny.
Glad to have you with us. Well, we're looking forward to a great story from you about your dad and about you, and so we're going to get to that in just a few moments. But we always go to you, Roy, because you, Roy, tells us why we do the show and what he's doing up there on the Comstock with his gold and silver and platinum. Okay.
There you go. Yeah,
so it's all yours, you, Roy.
Yeah, well, we do this show each week to bring to the attention of our local viewers, the community leaders in our area, because we all make a mark on the earth, some a little deeper than others, but by and large, Nevada is a very historic state. And because of that, we like to spread the word that it was Nevada that actually was the funds that paid off the groups during the Civil War, and that gave Abraham Lincoln the money in order to form the United States of America, and that we also developed the first dollar here out of minted coinage from the Comstock.
Exactly.
And I've been working in mining here in the state since 1978 and put in over 7.5 miles of tunnels here in the state so far. And
yeah.
We really found a really big ore body up in Virginia City, a platinum ore body, which makes it quite unusual.
Yeah, it's amazing. They took so much gold and silver out in the early days, but there's probably just as much there now or more because we've been able to find it with new technologies, right?
Yeah.
So you're sitting right on top of it, right on top of it, and getting ready to use it and extract it.
And then extract it, yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing discovery. And you also have claims down in Ione and Goldfield. So Nevada's still right up front with all the gold and silver and precious metals, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it produces 10% of all the gold that's produced on the planet each year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which is a $15 billion a year to $20 billion a year business here in the state.
Yeah, so mining has been a very important part of our history for many, many years. It's got a great future ahead of us, too.
Oh, yeah, with the technological advancements and the people and companies that are going to move to our area.
Yeah.
We need those rare metals now. We definitely need the PGMs.
Now, you were down in Arizona a few weeks ago, and you went to a gem show there, and you showed me one of the specimens you picked up.
Yeah,
and it is so gorgeous.
Nice little sparkler here.
Yeah. And what is that? Is that actual gold flakes in there?
Well, it's actual gold that's put around the geode and then on the inside. But
yeah,
these we'll sell in our shop that we're putting in over at the Reno Town Mall.
Right.
And that sort of thing. It's these are coated, but they're pretty water. You can put them on your bed, and a lot of people think these crystals can really draw, good things to you.
Absolutely,
Which,
I know they do. Yeah,
they probably do in one way or another. But yeah, we love it. And Cynthia
keeps you busy.
Gets some of the unhappy part of the job, having to make up all the printed materials. But
that's for sure. You're putting all the pricing on it. She has to do all the hard work. Yeah. Well, we're sitting in the museum room, by the way, Danny, of the Marshall Mansion here, and you can see he has specimens from all over the world, and not just the Comstock. So very
I got a
beautiful.
chance to come to an event they had here, the Gatsby event that
That's
the
right.
Washington Republic
That's
of
right.
Women put on, and it was fabulous.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
The indoor swimming pool and the whole event was great. It was wonderful.
it was a good event.
That's where I met you the first
Yeah,
time.
it was a
It was
good
brief,
event.
but we met. Well, listen, Danny, glad to have you on the show.
You betcha.
And let's talk about you. You know, your dad is a legend here in Nevada with the basketball program down there at UNLV, and you were one of the children of the family there of 4. You told me, but let's hear about you. How did it all start for you, and how did the family get to Nevada and all that kind of
My
thing?
mom and dad had a wonderful evening, and they created me 9 months later. In Redlands, California, I was born. My dad was coaching basketball at Riverside City College at the time.
Okay.
He had great success in junior college and ended up going to Long Beach State. And almost at that time, he built a program at Long Beach State that hadn't had a winning season in like a decade. And 3 times they played UCLA in the NCAA tournament and almost knocked them out. UNLV recruited him to come to Las Vegas in 1973. My mom fought him like the Dickens, didn't want to leave the beach, and we had a great team coming back at Long Beach. My dad said, UNLV is a sleeping giant. It's a basketball town. And my mom said, well, what do you think it's a basketball town? He had great vision. He understood the people there and the community, and he went there in 1973, and arguably the greatest success any mid-major basketball program has ever had. Not arguably, definitely.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He won the national championship in 1990, and the last mid-major team to do so was from 1964.
Isn't
So it's
that
been
amazing?
50 years. And not only did they win it by the largest margin in NCAA tournament history, 30 points. So
Amazing.
very proud of what
Who
my
did they
father
play
did.
that year? You recall?
Some puke team called Duke.
Duke, okay. I was hoping it was Duke, yeah. Okay. So that's fabulous. So you moved with the family here. In 1973, Vegas wasn't much of a town, was it?
It was a great town.
Was it
You
really?
know what it was? It was a small community. Everybody knew each other. They loved each other. They took care of each other.
Yeah.
You get across town in 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
My dad used to, it was so hot, and we came from the beach.
Yeah.
And that first week or 2 weeks we were there, my dad, he would stay up to about 11 o'clock at night, and he'd tell my mother, come out on the balcony, feel how cool it is out here. You know how cold it would be in California? Look at the great weather. Only he could figure out 11 p.m. was the time that he could brag about the weather in Las Vegas.
Yeah, because I've been down there when 11 o'clock at night and it's 110 degrees sometimes, So you went to grammar school and all that kind of thing. And did you play basketball yourself or what?
Yeah, I played. I did. But in high school, I played basketball and football. But the really interesting thing was we played in the state championship game. I was at Gorman High School. We played Reno, and Reno was undefeated.
Oh.
And we were undefeated, and it was the hardest hitting team I've ever played against. They had a linebacker named Gray, and I don't know if they have anybody in Reno watching this show, but boy, I respected that guy. He knocked me out so many times.
Oh.
And we won in a very close game, and I always had a great respect for Reno. My dad did too.
Super.
So when I finished high school, I was all-state in basketball, and Sonny Allen had just gotten the job here at UNR, and he recruited me, and my father talked me into coming up to school here. And I was coming to Reno. I was going to play for UNR.
Oh.
UNLV had a point guard that was a freshman returning, so I wasn't going to play there. And the week I was supposed to come up to school here, Sonny Allen, at the last minute, his son Billy Allen changed his mind from going to Missouri to come to school here at Reno. And many of you who have followed UNR basketball know what a great point guard Billy Allen was.
Oh, okay.
So because Billy came and I was playing his position, I decided not to come here. My dad actually decided for me. Like he normally did.
It worked that way.
And so I went to junior college for a year in Dixie Junior College, and my dad dad's point guard that had started as a freshman ended up breaking his neck.
Oh.
And he didn't play again. And my dad had his worst season ever. They was 16-12. They needed a point guard who can come in and pass and play defense and dribble, but not shoot. That was me.
You weren't allowed to shoot. Yeah. Well, that's great. So that's how you got into UNLV. That's quite a story. Yeah.
And the greatest achievement I believe I had, my dad for 5 years hadn't made the NCAA tournament because the NCAA put UNLV on probation for 3 years, and the next 2 years we didn't make it. Well, my junior year we turned that around. We became the first team in UNLV's history to be ranked number 1 in the country.
Wow.
And we started a 10-year run at UNLV where we won 330 games, made the tournament every year, and 3 Final Fours in the national championship.
That's amazing. I always wanted to ask a coach's son, what it's like when you're growing up. Here you got this very successful dad, great coach. Okay, did you have like a basketball hoop in the living room? And
yeah.
I mean, was it all basketball all the time?
Absolutely.
Or was he able to compartmentalize, whatever that word is, the family and then basketball, or was it all basketball all the time?
It was all basketball and family. And that's the thing.
Okay.
We did everything together as a family dealing with basketball. During the summer times, we didn't have a whole lot of money to travel, nor did my dad have time, but he would have a speaking engagement. They used to pay coaches to go speak to other coaches around the country. So we would get an RV and would jump in as a family and would take 2 weeks to go up to Flathead Lake in Montana.
Love it.
Back. And the greatest thing about it is we have much more money now as a family. We go to Hawaii and nicer places. You ask every one of my siblings, the greatest times we ever had was in that cramped RV, sleeping out in one of those KOA sites. It was wonderful.
At Flathead Lake. I used to go up to Flathead Lake all the time. I used to have relatives up there. We used to fish up there and had a fabulous time up in Montana, In fact, I spent 20 years up in Montana. But he now, did all your siblings get involved in basketball in one way or another, or was it they all go different directions?
Well, they all. We never missed a game. In fact, there's a story that I wrote a book on my father, which is going to be published next year. And one of the things I wrote in it, my mother said, "How could you remember that?" Because we were so small. But we were in Long Beach. My mom got mad at my dad for something. She didn't go to a game. I think it was actually in junior college at Pasadena City College. But anyways, we went to every road game. She got mad at him once it didn't go, and so I remember listening to the game on the radio, and we would lose at halftime. My mom said, "Oh, the kids, get in the car." She drove as fast as she could so we'd get to the game and make sure we supported my dad's team, which he came back and won.
That's nice.
Wonderful.
And we just did everything with the team. The greatest time in our family's history, and I think if you ask most long-time Las Vegans, they'll tell you the same thing. When we had that 10-year run of the NCAA tournaments, every time it came to March Madness, it was always at least a 3-week vacation, sometimes a 4-week. You'd have the league tournament in L.A. and the whole city would travel. Then you'd have the first 2 rounds of the NCAA. We always won those. Then you get to the next 2 rounds.
Right.
Sometimes we got to the Final 4.
Yeah. So fabulous! That's an amazing thing.
A great story.
So we got a lot of things we want to talk about. I think we're just about out of time for this segment. But your dad and mom very close, evidently, right?
Oh yeah, very supportive of each other.
How many years were they married?
59 or 49. I think it was 49.
49. Wow, that's a great marriage, yeah. Well, listen, we'll come back and get more of this history. I want to get into some of the game histories and some of the practices and some of the things your dad used to do to make that team successful. We'll be back with all of that after this on Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Somewhere in Time is a place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected. High-end die-cast models, vintage and antique furniture, Fenton glassware, kerosene lamps, toy trains, vintage neon, a new home decor selection, brothel and casino memorabilia, jewelry creations, and cameras in large collections throughout the store. Bring the family and find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on Virginia Street in Reno. Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashions, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno. Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashions, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno. We're back here in Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. We have our special guest, Danny Tarkanian. You might be familiar with that name because it was legendary. What years were your dad there? He was 31 seasons or something?
No, 19 at UNLV, 31 total. He was there from 1973 until 1992.
Oh, 92 is when he... wow.
They forced him out at UNLV when he was 59 years old.
Yeah, because of some NCAA things. It was a complicated story, huh?
Because the president, I'll be nice. The president decided he wanted to go in a different direction, that my father was too controversial. My dad fought, he's just like what I do, and I probably got it because of my dad. Yeah. He was wronged by the NCAA. He fought him, took him to court, won the court case. But the public perception sometimes is more important than reality. So the perception continued, and the president said, we want to move, we want a better reputation for the city of Las Vegas. So they forced my dad out at 59. Yeah. He had went to 3 Final Fours in 5 years and had won 96 games and lost 7 in his last 3 years.
That's pretty amazing. How about you? What kind of reputation was he looking for? The president.
To his credit, look at I'll try to keep this short because I know we want to talk more about Las Vegas stuff, but the NCAA, they create these rules that were from 1950 where you had mostly middle-class white kids that were playing. Mm-hmm. And the rules basically said you can't take anything for anything, and you got to, when you go to college there. Yeah. So now the athletics, basketball primarily, is with black inner-city families that don't have any money. So when a kid comes to school there, you can't buy him lunch, you can't drive him to school, we can go on all the stupid things.
It's ridiculous.
So listen, my dad would say all the time, he thinks the athletes should have the same opportunities as other kids in college. He never, ever gave them a large sum of money, a car, or anything else to buy a player. Right. But he said they should live like every other college kid. Right. So they'd come over our house and they would eat. My mom would make brown sacks dinners for them, and they'd come over and get them. The NCAA would put them on probation. And,
for that?
Well,
that's crazy.
And then my dad challenged them. Yeah. He would have said thank you and rolled over. They would have left him alone, but he said this was wrong and you're exploiting these athletes. And they didn't like that, so they came after him harder.
Wow, that's terrible.
I told the story, and if you want to, we can go into what Senator Laxalt, who's a legend here in the whole state of Nevada, but Senator Laxalt was very close to my family when the case went in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. The question was, should the NCAA regulates all of intercollegiate athletics be required to give due process to a state employee coach before they fire him? Right. Now, most reasonable people would say absolutely. Sure. Well, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 against my father, and that was the avenue to force him out. But Senator Laxalt wanted to be a co-counsel for us at that hearing. He said he was involved in 3 appointments of the Supreme Court, and my dad's attorney declined his offer. We ended up losing by 1 vote, and Senator Laxalt told my mother later that he wished he could have been there. He thought it would have made a difference. Yeah, just had that warm and cozy feelings with those justices. Yeah. Well, that's a sad end to it. But boy, I'll tell you what, he certainly had his good years and great years. Legendary years there at UNLV. You were there.
You were right on scene. You were the lead guard, weren't you?
Yeah, from 1981 to 84, and then they just got better after I left.
Yeah,
we started the foundation. And the foundation's the hardest thing to build.
Yeah.
But once it got it going, they had some wonderful teams.
So let's talk about this a little bit. So UNLV was in pretty bad shape basketball-wise until your dad got there. But your dad had this successful track record taking these losing teams, whether it be Long Beach or the junior college teams, and taking them from nowhere and making them, these huge success. So what was it? What makes a coach like him unique? Musselman up here has a successful program. Duke has a successful program because I think the coach is so great. But what makes the coach so great,
Well,
like in your case?
First of all, you look at certain major programs. Duke's won before Coach K was there. They didn't win as much since Coach K's been there. He's done better than anybody.
Yeah.
But it's a great program. Same with UCLA. UNLV never won, neither did Long Beach, before or after my dad left. He had a unique ability first to recruit and relate to the inner city athletes that were dominating sports at that time, and not the ones that were from good families that would go to the Dukes and the UCLAs. What my dad did was he recruited the guys that had problems off the court. My dad, when he was growing up, he was a troublemaker. First of all, it took him 8 years to graduate from college, and it would have took longer, except he met my mother, and she finally pushed him through. And he was always doing practical joke things or stuff that could get you in trouble. So he understood, you're a young kid, you're in a tough environment to some of these inner city athletes. So he took a chance on them, and most of them paid off. Some of them didn't, and he got criticized for the ones that didn't. But they didn't talk about all the 10 times as many of the ones that actually turned their lives around and are making great careers for themselves. So he brings in these athletes that nobody else wanted, and he would get them to specialize. He took what they did best, and he told them do it a lot, and what you couldn't do very well, don't do very much at all. Right. Like I mentioned, I could pass and dribble and defend, so I did that all the time I could. Yeah. I didn't shoot very well, so I played 39 minutes a game and shot twice a game.
Wow.
That was fine.
Didn't you ever be tempted to shoot?
I wanted to win more.
Okay.
Sure,
and plus, you probably had to face the wrath of your dad if you would have shot, right?
Yeah, and that gets to, back in the early 70s and even the early 80s, coaches used to yell, berate, kick chairs, throw chairs, actually. Bobby Knight did.
Bobby Knight.
My dad wasn't like that. You'll hear players tell you, he'd yell, but it would be more in a cajoling. He would do it with sarcasm and wit, is how I put it. He would say stuff that was really a sharp hit to you, but it was like funny, and you knew it was funny, but you didn't want to laugh because you knew he'd get mad at you. And like if we didn't play hard in practice one day, he'd call the team together and he'd put us in a circle and he said, you guys, next time you pick up your scholarship check, wear a mask and gun because you're robbing the university. Every time you pick up your scholarship check, you're robbing the university.
And he was serious, but he said it in a...
Oh, nobody laughed.
Yeah.
We went out and practiced. He was really great at that. So when you ask what was his success, I think, one, he could relate to the players that were great at that time, the ones that had problems that nobody else wanted. Number two, he can get them to mold together as a team, specializing in what they did really well. And third of all, he got the most out of them because he knew how to relate with them with his sarcasm and wit as opposed to berating and demeaning them.
Yeah, well, that's a fabulous way to go.
Made a team out of them.
Now, after the program started to be successful, what happens? Do players start approaching UNLV and say, hey, I want to play for your team, or are there NCAA rules that say a coach has to approach the player?
No. That's a great statement. I know I've been in a lot of interviews. No one's put it that way, and you're absolutely right. What happens is when you're first starting off, you're begging and cajoling players to come and play for you. Yeah. And then once they see the success, and the way UNLV played, they ran up and down the court. All the real athletic kids wanted to play. Yeah. At the end of my father's career, they had all the top inner city players wanted to come to UNLV. The suburban kids, they wanted to go to Duke. We were getting the inner city kids. Duke was getting the suburbans, and we would have had battles with them every year for a decade or so. Yeah. We had Jason Kidd, who was from Cal, commit to us as a sophomore, and he was going to come here. Yeah. He took Cal to the Final Eight, the best year ever. Right. We had Jalen Rose, who played at the same high school as UNLV's great player Anderson Hunt, and wanted to follow Anderson Hunt here to UNLV.
Okay.
We had Ed O'Bannon, who took UCLA to the national championship, had signed and was coming to UNLV. But when they forced my dad out in 1992, they all went to different schools.
Yeah.
If my dad was able to remain at the coach at UNLV, we would have been in another half dozen Final Fours and won another.
Yeah, because what was his age when he was forced out at 92?
He was 59 years old.
59 years old, so he had a lot of time left to coach. In fact, he went on to coach at a different school, right?
He went to Fresno State and coached 7 years there, yes.
7 years there, yeah.
But he could have coached another 15 years at UNLV. It's a lot harder when you're at a school trying to start up again at that age than when you have the program going and players are wanting to come there.
You're right, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So how did he handle success? How did he...
He was the most humble guy you ever met.
Yeah.
He was the most... that was probably his greatest quality. He understood how fleeting success was, and he never took it for granted. He never thought he was better than other people. And I'll give you a great example. Every year they have a coaches convention for the college coaches, actually all coaches, high school coaches, college coaches, and they do it during the Final Four. Well, I would go with my dad to those at the end of his career, and Bobby Knight, you never see him. He was there, but he'd go fishing somewhere. Coach K never came down to the lobby where the coaches are. My dad, the whole time he's there, would sit in the lobby. He would talk to the high school coaches, the junior college coaches. He knew what it was like to be like them because that's how he came up, and he had a great time socializing and being a part of that. He never felt he was better than those coaches, and I think that's why people liked him so much.
Yeah, that's super. Great. A regular guy. He was a regular guy with leadership abilities, and he could recognize talent. I mean, but that's a very unique skill set to have. Now, one thing, where did he get this thing about sucking on the towel? What was that all about?
His first championship game ever was at Redlands High School. It went into overtime, and he was yelling, and his mouth was getting dry, so he was running to the water fountain and and back then the water didn't come up, it was just flirting out, so he was having a hard time getting his mouth wet so he could yell. So it went into overtime, so he said, I'm going to wet this towel, and I chomped on it, and so his mouth would get wet again, and he won the game, and he said this is his good luck charm. So he had to rest. He was very superstitious.
Was he?
If we lost a game on the road, we never stayed at the same hotel the next time. He never had anybody sit on the chair to the right of him. They called it the ghost chair. Nobody could sit in that chair. It had to be vacant where his clipboard was at. He got a Rolex watch for a gift, and he lost his first game that he played with it, and he gave it to my brother, and he went and bought a cheaper watch. He just would not have anything that was connected to a loss.
So he took it really hard. So when he came home, I mean, after a loss, what was that like? Was he difficult to be around?
Not to us, because we didn't see him that much after losses. He would go. My mom would say he'd moan all night long like he was in pain after losses. She hated to be.
I do that when I play golf. I usually moan all night long. It's like a nightmare. How could I play so bad? But he got over it evidently and moved on.
The great thing about sports is another game and it's another season. It hurts for a little while, but you come back and you get tougher. That's all.
That's what's so great about sports. You know, it really teaches you a lot of character, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Because you have to deal with failure once in a while, and then find ways to overcome it and become a winner again.
See, and it's unfortunate in today's education, secondary education, that they de-emphasize sports. They've taken away a lot of that from the program. So I started a nonprofit sports academy in Las Vegas, where we teach the young kids the life lessons they learn through playing sports. I don't teach them how to play basketball. They can learn that. You teach them how to compete, how to handle adversity, how to win with class, lose with dignity, the things that are important in life that you can carry over to everything you do.
Yeah, that's super. Well, listen, let's hold that thought. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with the next segment of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present. Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashion, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno. Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashion, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno.
Hi, I'm Chris from Past Time at Somewhere in Time. Are you looking for that one-of-a-kind gift that you can't find in the big department store? I have something for all occasions. Got stuff? Need to know whether or not it has value or how to sell it? We can help with that too. Come and see me Tuesday or Wednesday at Past Time in Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street in Reno. Just ask for Chris.
Deluxe Travel, locally owned and operating since 1991, is the home for travel to Mexico and Central and South America. The crew at Deluxe Travel is bilingual, trustworthy, thorough, and caring. They will do everything possible to make your dream vacation the best it can be. Now is the time to book for winter travel, so stop by the office at 100 California Avenue or call 686-7000. You can also check us out on our website at deluxetravelLTD.com.
At Deluxe Travel, we sell dreams. Come in and plan yours.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang Series. Which depicts the Wild Mustangs herd running free, mare and its foal, the Wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
We're back here in Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Just to remind everybody who we are, I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show, and you, Ray Marshall, our executive producer and co-host of the show, and our special guest, Danny Tarkanian. And great story about your dad and how he developed that program. Every place he went, he was successful, you know. And it's sad that the NCAA had it in for him, probably because he was just from a different part of society, you know?
It was two things. He took kids that the NCAA didn't think should be a part of college basketball, and he won with them.
Yeah.
And number two, he fought them back.
Yeah.
He always said if he didn't fight them back, the NCAA would have left him alone. Other coaches told my father that.
Yeah. Well, the NCAA, as I think of the NCAA, are a bunch of very wealthy folks who have no connection really to what a blue-collar family goes through to even bring a kid to the level of being able to play, and they don't like coaches like that. And I think we have a politician in the White House that has that same kind of personality, perhaps, that your dad's had. And people don't like it. It's not polite enough or elite enough for a lot of folks. Do you feel that way?
Well, I mean, certainly the NCAA is a bunch of elitists, and the people who run Washington, D.C. are a bunch of elitist establishment people.
Yeah.
My father fought the elitists, mostly because they came after him. It wasn't like he was picking the fight, but he went back down, which I have tremendous respect for.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's not backing down. I have great respect for that.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has a different personality.
Yes.
My dad wouldn't have survived saying some of the things that President Trump does, but it's worked for him.
Yeah. So if you buck the trend and you take a different path, you might say, to success, and it's unlike others, then people don't get it. They don't get it.
Isn't the biggest problem in our society is people like that run the establishment? They run a certain organization or maybe the country, and they feel they're better than everybody else, and that they deserve special privileges, special benefits. I mean, why isn't the Senate that passed the Obamacare bill on the Obamacare program, and making everybody else do that? And they feel that they're better than us, and it's the same.
That we can't figure it out.
and that's why we elected a person in Washington, D.C. to change that.
Yeah,
there you go.
So your dad leaves UNLV at 59 years old. Did he take a break there before he started coaching?
He had the
again?
shortest NBA coaching career ever.
He went to the NBA. Which team?
San Antonio Spurs. And he had a team that had a chance to win the NBA championship his first year, but 4 starters that were on that team when he first got there were not playing after his first week of coaching. One was traded and we got nobody in return. The other ones got hurt. But anyways, he started off very slow. He was 9-11, and he kept complaining to the general manager that we needed a point guard. And when you're a college coach, you make the decisions of who you plays and who you recruit.
Yeah.
In the NBA, it's different. The general manager gives you the players and you play with them. My dad didn't like that and didn't like losing.
Yeah.
So he went public with some criticism, and they ended up firing him after 20 games, which was the best thing that ever happened to him. He was very lonely in San Antonio. I would go visit him, and you can see how lonely he was in his eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was good that he left and he came back to Las Vegas for 3 years, and then he got the job at Fresno State.
Okay, Fresno State. And Fresno State, like you were mentioning, was another loser, right?
Yeah.
Until your dad got there.
They had, I believe, 3 winning seasons in the 15 years before my dad got there, and only 1 tournament appearance in the NIT.
Yeah.
And my dad went to the tournament every year, won 20 games, and I went to the NCAA the last the 2 years.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. But it was a tough gig because unlike UNLV, where the recruits were coming to him, he had to go find these guys, right? So it makes it a lot tougher.
Well, it's different. When he started off at UNLV, I think he was in his mid-30s, and you know how much energy you have in your mid-30s.
Yeah.
Boy, by the time he was at Fresno, he was in his 60s, mid-60s, I believe, and it's a lot harder to work that hard and what it takes to build a program. Yeah. But look, we had great success there.
Yeah, it sounds like it, yeah.
But the NCAA came in and put him on probation because some players got some free rice bowls. That's crazy. Tamagotchi rice bowls started and ended my dad's last investigation with the NCAA.
Unbelievable. That's what drives me nuts about the NCAA. Yeah. I mean, let it be real corruption before you stick your head in there and make trouble, you know. So after he left Fresno State, he just retired then?
Yeah, he retired, and he had a radio show in Fresno that he did for, I think, about 3 years. And he really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And for a guy that was busy all your life, you need to stay busy.
Yeah.
And once, this is hard to talk about. So anyway, so once he quit the radio show or stopped the radio show because it was in Fresno, and so he quit that, stayed in Las Vegas, and he didn't have much to do, so his health deteriorated.
Yeah, isn't that the case?
Quickly.
Yeah, we find that. I find that to be true because I'm at that age, you know, of retirement, and I have fellow friends that retire and they're not doing anything, and their health goes away.
You got to stay busy. And
men need to be busy.
Most
I think, you know,
and women too. My mother. My dad passed away right before my mother's term ended in the city council, and she was going to not run again. And we talked her into it. We said, you got to run it again, stay busy, and she did. And because of that, her mind's sharp, her body's good.
Yeah, what's her age?
She's, I think, 84 now, 83 or 84.
And she's on the city council there?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. That's got to be quite the job.
It's just, and she works her tail off. And most people say, why would you want to do that? But you know what? It makes her mind sharp. It keeps her healthy.
Yeah.
Worst thing that happened to my dad was retirement.
Yeah. So don't retire, you, Roy. Whatever you do, don't retire. That's why I do this, so I don't have to retire. But, you know, a lot of successful women down in Las Vegas had a legacy of great women down there, starting with Stewart. Remember, she's the founder of Las Vegas, basically. She was a great real estate tycoon. Really? Yeah, she had the original ranch.
Wow.
And then she subdivided it and started selling it, and she was the first lady of Las Vegas.
She had the water there, too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That was more important than land.
She was a great business person. So your mom is following some great footsteps there. And evidently that's where you got your interest in politics then from your mom?
Well, Senator Laxalt was my inspiration in college. He was friends with our family, and I just loved the way he handled himself. He was dignified, a statesman.
He really was.
You respected everything about the guy. Not like today's politicians.
No. So they were close friends of the family?
Yeah, very close friends. And so he inspired me and I wanted to get into politics. But my mother's what I want to emulate like. And I say this to people when I campaign. They said, well, why are you running against Dean Heller in this primary? And I said, because of what my mother says public service should be about. She says, if you get elected, you represent people, and you have to do what's best interest for your constituents, not what's in your best interest, either financially or politically, but what's in the best interest of your constituents. Her first big vote she had, it was in front of it was for a developer that was my dad's biggest booster at UNLV, one of our closest friends, and she ruled against him in the deciding deciding vote, and he wouldn't speak to her for 2 years. And she said, and I said, how could you do that? And she said, because the people that I represent didn't want the Social Security building in there, and I had to vote against it.
Wow.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing in Washington, D.C. Now we see politicians that just love the power and prestige of being in the swamp.
Too many times.
And they'll do whatever they have to stay there. And a perfect example is this. Dean Heller came out and said he vehemently opposed our nominee, Donald Trump. He said, let me be very, very clear, I do not support Donald Trump. This is in the 2016 elections. Does anybody really believe Dean Heller thought Hillary Clinton would be a better president than Donald Trump? No, he didn't. Why did he do that? Because he cared more about being reelected, and people would tell all of us running for office that if you didn't distance yourself from Trump, your political career was over. Yeah. He cared more about his political career than the best interests of the people he represented in our country.
Yeah, yeah. And, well, your dad said it well. Tell us what your dad said when you were thinking about becoming a politician.
Yeah, I told him I wanted to run for politics, and he said, why would you want to do that? The people that are the most successful are the ones that lie the best and have the most money and lie the most often.
That's right.
And I laughed at him too, thinking he didn't know what he was talking about. But as usual, my dad was absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, you've experienced some campaigns now. You've gone through what, 3 or 4 already?
Yeah, my opponents take shots that I've lost some really tough races. But every single race, I've had to run against the establishment candidate on the Republican side, like Dean Heller now, and then the establishment, well-funded candidate on the Democrat side. And every election, what happens is the establishment candidate, they take money from lobbyists, they vote for those lobbyist bills, they use that money, and they lie about you.
Yeah.
They lie, and they say things that are completely false and not true. So anyways, I sued the first guy I ran against for defamation. I won the first defamation lawsuit in the state's history for a politician in 2009. The last lady who just beat me by 1 point, I sued her because she used exactly the same words as I won the first lawsuit on.
Wow.
And I'm going to win that one too. But it doesn't win.
Are you an attorney by trade?
I am an attorney by education. I don't practice much anymore. I do real estate work.
Real estate work, yeah. You were a candidate at least for Rhodes Scholar, right?
At UNLV, I was the school's first Rhodes Scholar candidate, and it was a nice honor.
What was your score? What was your was it 4.0 or higher?
No, back then I don't think you can go over 4.0. Now they have things where you go over 4.0. At one time was like the top you can get.
Yeah, right.
I think I graduated 3.76 or something like that. But a Rhodes Scholar, they take a combination of your grades, your civic work, and also your athletic prowess.
Okay. Yeah. What's your best subject? What do you like? Is it math?
Yeah,
what did you your greatest interest and success as far as scholarship goes?
I did well in math and finance, and the reason is my mind thinks like a black and white. I don't have a lot of creativity. I got black and white stuff and numbers. I can do those real well. It's not really fun or creative. I didn't terribly love it, but I was very good at that.
Well, fantastic. So here you are. You are a Republican, right? Yes. And you're running against a Republican. That seems to be, and he's an incumbent on top of that. That seems like a real uphill battle.
Well, I was recruited to run against Dean Heller by the Republican base here in Nevada after Dean Heller voted against the repeal of Obamacare after he had promised to veto it.
So that's the big sticking point, huh?
Well, they asked me to run because they felt they needed somebody. They wanted somebody in Washington, D.C. that supported President Trump and his America First policies and who didn't flip-flop on issues. And Dean Heller's flip-flopped on most of the main issues that people care about on the Republican base here. Yeah. Obamacare is one of them. He voted to fund Planned Parenthood after he promised not to. He said he was going to be tough on illegal immigration, and now he's one of the advocates to give citizenship to 14 million people. The base of the Republican Party, they were tired of somebody flip-flopping, and you didn't know how they were going to vote when they went to Washington. Okay. They know that that what I tell them, I'm going to vote for when I go to D.C.
All right, let's stop there, and we'll come back for our final segment. You right? And Danny on Old Tales Nevada, past and present.
Thank you.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first. Somewhere in Time is the place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected. High-end die-cast models, vintage and antique furniture, Fenton glassware, kerosene lamps, toy trains, vintage neon, a new home decor selection, brothel and casino memorabilia, jewelry creations, and cameras in large collections throughout the store. Bring the family and find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on Virginia Street in Reno.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
Deluxe Travel, locally owned and operating since 1991, is the home for travel to Mexico and Central and South America. The crew at Deluxe Travel is bilingual, trustworthy, thorough, and caring. They will do everything possible to make your dream vacation the best it can be. Now is the time to book for winter travel, so stop by the office at 100 California Avenue or call 686-7000. You can also check us out on our website at deluxetravelLTD.com.
At Deluxe Travel, we sell dreams. Come in and plan yours.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashion, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno. Welcome back, everybody, to our last segment of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present. We're having a great time talking with Danny Tarkanian, who is the son of Jerry Tarkanian, the fabulous and legendary coach of UNLV basketball for 19 seasons. And it's great to hear the inside scoop about your dad, because I always thought he was kind of a character, you know, the way we used to see him move around on the sidelines. And, you know, there was quite a man behind that.
He was a great people person. As good a coach as he was a better people person.
Yeah.
And he would go to a bar. His best time he'd be in a bar, and he'd go there all the time after games. And all these drunk fans would come up to him, and they would say, "Hey, Coach, why aren't you getting Larry Johnson the ball more? Or why aren't you doing this and that?" My dad would sit there and go, "Is that right? Is that right?" Our whole family would laugh. Every time he'd get that, "Is that right?"
Yeah. With his eyes. He's got those puppy dog eyes, right?
We knew my dad was tuning the guy out, but he made the guy feel good. The guy left thinking, I sure told Coach Tark something. He'd go home and tell his girlfriend, "Watch, Tark's going to follow my lead."
Yeah, Tark the Shark, right? Or Shark the Tark. How did that go?
Tark the Shark.
Tark the Shark, right, yeah. So anyway, we were talking about your political career, and you've taken on some big challenges here. Did you have a question for him, Roy?
No, I just have a comment to make about the Republican Party. And, you know, we had the gentleman over here who was president of the Republican Party in our area. And my observations of the party out here is that there just hasn't been enough togetherness the way that there used to be with Paul Laxalt and Mickey, his brother, and and all the people that were local. I mean, you'd see the same person, but they'd wave at you. Now I got a much bigger town here in Reno, but Vegas is your main population base. So if you're going to win, you're going to have to, get it down there probably.
That's probably a big challenge, isn't it? Because you have Vegas, we have Reno, we have Elko. I mean, but we have hundreds of miles in between, and really different society and culture between, say, up here in northern Nevada. We've got a big, history here, where Vegas is fairly new and Elko is more rural. That makes it very difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, it used to be the rurals could really tip the favor for you if you did a good job out there, because if you kept it close in Clark County, won a little bit in Washoe, you win the rurals and you'd win.
Yeah.
What's happened is Las Vegas has gotten so big, and it influences so much of it.
Yeah.
And people keep saying, well, it's going to be more of a Democrat state now, the more liberals and the unions are there. But what I saw happen with President Trump, or candidate Trump, was his America First agenda resonates with hardworking middle-class Americans, union workers or otherwise, and they voted for him. He lost the state by 2% when the entire top of the GOP, our governor, senator, Senate candidate, congressman, all came out and told the people of Nevada they didn't support him. He lost by 2, but Romney lost by 7 and McCain by 9.
Yeah.
He overperformed here in the state, and it's because of his message.
Yeah.
And that America First agenda message resonates with those hardworking middle-class Americans that are working in the casinos, working in the construction.
Yeah. So let's say the best thing happens and you are able to defeat Heller, and you go on to win the general, and they send Mr. Tarkanian to Washington. What's that going to be for you? What's your main focus as a senator? Everybody has a goal or a top priority. What's it going to be for you?
My goal would be that when I'm serving in Washington, D.C., people can feel about me like so many people felt about Senator Paul Laxalt. It's disappointing that when you listen to people say, "Oh, I don't trust our politicians," or "I don't like our politicians," there's no respect.
There is no respect.
It'd be wonderful. Listen, what I campaign on, I'm going to do in Washington, D.C. I'm going to fight for the people of Nevada. I'm a fighter too, and I take on tough people, and I don't back down.
You have those genes.
I have those genes. Actually, my mother's even tougher than my dad. My dad always said the toughest competitor he ever met was my mother.
How about that?
So, but look, you go back to Washington and you make people proud. And if I can make people feel about me like they did about Senator Paul Laxalt, then I made an incredible impact with my life, and I'll be really satisfied.
Yeah. The thing that I always question, about Washington and about people like you, Danny, who are very sincere, and you have your priorities and you want to do a wonderful job for people, and you go back there and you run into the power structure, you run into the special interest, and even though you have these wonderful ideals, doesn't that change when you get there? It's hard to survive being a sincere and honest man.
See, if you only care about remaining there and getting reelected, then you sell yourself out.
Yeah.
And that's what's the problem with them. Too many people love to be back there. Dean Heller's been in office for 27 years.
Yeah.
That's more than almost half his age.
Look,
if I go back there and I'm there for one term, I'm satisfied.
If you can accomplish something.
If I can do, if I can do what I just said, make people proud of what I did in Washington, D.C. And I'm not talking about proud. Some of them may not like certain votes I take, but they're proud that I handled myself with dignity, class, and was honest and showed integrity. I don't care if I'm gone in 6 years.
Yeah. Can they sideline you though, Danny? Suppose you buck the leadership, for example, right? Who's been there forever as well. You want to go against the leadership. Can't they sideline you and put you in a place where you're not heard of very much, and you don't get done what you want to get done?
Except on the big issues. They can sideline you by taking you off big committees where you might not have influence with the committees, but they can't sideline you on the different votes that need to be taken.
Yeah.
Like the health care vote. It came down to one vote.
Yeah.
And if they sideline somebody unfairly because they don't support the majority leader, well, they're probably not going to get that vote from that person.
Yeah, there you go.
And,
so you're You've got as much power that way as anybody.
On the big contested votes, sure.
Yeah. Well, hope it works out well for you.
Yeah, we sure do, whatever
now,
we do.
if it doesn't work out like you want it to be, you can go back to your real estate business.
Look, I've had people tell me this all the time. Why would you do this? You're going through a horrible process where they just defame you with millions and millions of dollars, and you're gone all the time, you're away from your family, and if you lose, and what do you have to show for it? You know what I got to show for it? I got an incredibly beautiful, intelligent wife.
Yeah.
And I got 4 great kids.
Yeah,
They're all
there you
healthy.
go.
I have a real estate development project that's doing very well. So we're not living like the top 1%, but we're well off and we're secured.
Good.
Everything good, important in life I have.
Yeah.
And all that, and that matters. Now, if I can get back and do something in public service and make an impact for our society, then that's would be wonderful. If I don't, I'm very happy with what I have.
You got a great life as it is.
Yeah, you got
now, here's a question for you. Why didn't you get into coaching like your dad?
I coached with my father for 7 years, at Fresno State.
Oh, okay.
And when he left Fresno State, again, the NC2A came in and just, as I mentioned, the Tamagotchi rice bowls.
Yeah.
It would have been very difficult for me to get a job.
Really?
Because I got the job working for my dad because of my dad and his reputation, and was going to carry with me if I tried to get a job outside of it.
Yeah. Did you enjoy coaching, though?
I enjoyed most everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Everything in life you like. There's some things you don't like in it, but the vast majority I did. The vast majority, I really enjoyed it.
That's
great.
That's
Yeah,
super.
you
Yeah.
betcha.
So, how old are your kids now?
I have a 14-year-old daughter,
Oh.
and I have twin girls that just turned 13, and I have an 8-year-old son.
Oh, so
And
now are they in basketball and all that kind of
My
thing?
oldest daughter just started playing basketball a year and a half ago, and
Okay.
she's pretty darn good. She's played varsity as a freshman.
Wow.
My son doesn't like basketball. In fact, I took him out to play basketball. He ran up and down the court twice, and he said he hated it, didn't want to play anymore. He was 6 at the time.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, I got to change your name. I can't call you Jerry because his name's Jerry Tarkanian.
Oh.
I said, I can't call
Yeah.
you Jerry Tarkanian if you don't like basketball. So I called him Bob for a week. I think, well, maybe that'll get him to like basketball. He wouldn't budge. He's got my dad's sense of humor, and I wanted. This is a funny joke.
Yeah.
So when he's 4.5 years old, I take him out to play soccer. I want him to run up and down the court, the field. So he does it a couple of minutes, and then he's crying and wants to leave. Yeah. So I put him in the car, and I say, "What's wrong?" I hate soccer. I said, "Jerry, what's the one thing you like the most about soccer?" 4.5-year-old, sarcasm and wit. He said, "Leaving."
Leaving.
4.5-year-old.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, those genes have to flow through there somewhere.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you have that same sort of sense of humor and sarcasm, or are you more serious?
I'm too serious.
Are you?
I wish I didn't. It was a great quality my dad had, but
How about your other siblings, the girls and the boys?
no, mostly just my son has it.
Yeah, is that right? Well, good.
I'll tell you what, my mom had some great quality, being a tough competitor, fighter, an honest person, and I believe I have a lot of those traits, and my other daughters do. So.
Yeah, I think being on the city council in Las Vegas and dealing with those casino owners and bankers and entrepreneurs down there, it's got to be a tough gig, right?
Yeah, well,
a lot of pressure on them.
And the homeowners, they get mad over everything. I watched some of her meetings, and God bless you, I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Sit through that and have everybody yelling.
Well, the sprawl of Vegas, it's amazing. Right? You were just down there. Isn't it amazing?
It really is.
The housing developments and just it just seems like it's going nuts.
High-tech corporations are really moving in there. Phoenix.
Yeah. No, we're doing pretty good up here in the north. With bringing businesses.
Understatement of the whole interview, huh?
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, we're doing great. So
it's wonderful to get those companies in here, and I know a lot of people had a problem with some of the tax credits that were given to them. But look at what it's done for this community.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you gave it to the government, they'd probably just spend it anyway, right? Yeah. There's a question for you. If you go to Washington, how are we going to get rid of the $20 trillion and counting deficit?
Grow the economy, cut wasteful spending, protect the promises that we made to people that have been workers. We pay in our Social Security, we pay in for Medicare. You can't cut that from people that have paid in their whole life for that.
Right.
But there's so much wasteful spending out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you take care of American businesses and American people first before you start spending billions and billions of dollars overseas.
Yeah.
You know how much money we give other countries countries that don't like us.
Yeah, my wife's been saying that for years. If we just took back a percentage of that foreign aid, look what we could do.
And give it to the veterans that allowed us to live in this life that we have.
Yeah. Wasteful spending, though, is that's a tough gig because you got this bureaucracy out there that, is hidden from sight, and they just do crazy things. We've seen it exposed every once in a while on 60 Minutes. Well, listen, we're getting down to the end of the show. Thanks so much for coming and letting us in on some really behind the scenes with your dad and your family. We appreciate that very much. And whatever you do, whether it be politics or real estate, we wish you the best there as well.
Thank you. With all sincerity, this was one of the most enjoyable interviews I've done. So thank you for having me on.
Good. That's the way we want it. Well, we want to thank the audience for being with us as well. Thank you, Roy, for funding the show and being our executive producer for all these many years. And Danny, thanks so much. But in the meantime, we want to invite you back next week for another episode of Old Tales Nevada, Past and Present. And like I always say at the end of the show, and try to remember, have a great Nevada day.
Have a great day.